So gaming took a bit of a nosedive today, specifically in the stock market, where in some cases 10, 20, almost 30% of these companies' value is just wiped off the board. And you'll never guess what caused it. Yeah, that's right. AI. Go figure, right? Man, AI is everywhere, isn't it? And most times with it brings a lot of bad news and frustration, especially in gaming, since everything's going up in price because of it. I mean, look at RAM, SSDs, etc. So here, though, this is an interesting one because it seems to me that a lot of the suits who would be pulling the strings of the stock market are are seeing maybe a bit of a different future than I'd be anticipating, at least right now with the data in front of us. But why don't we take a look at it here today? So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. So first off, let's take a look at some of the impacts here on these companies. With here's CD Project, they got hit again, kind of hard, 9% down. This is just in a span of a day, just trading on Friday. All right. You can see Roblox got hit as well, 13%. Roblox is a big company in terms of their market cap and value, so that's 13% is a lot of money. Unity, 24%. I saw this. I said, whoa, Unity got hit that hard. A quarter of their company's value was just gone in less than 24 hours. And all of this you can kind of see is happening like right around the same time, almost like there was an announcement of some kind. Here's Take Two, the company that has GTA 6 coming out later this year. I feel like they're probably going to report that Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the highest selling games ever. I think it's going to pass Wii Sports, and it'll sit alongside of Minecraft and GTA 5. So it seems like Take Two, they're doing pretty well, but still almost 8% down today. Ubisoft, how much more does Ubisoft have to give? I mean, come on. It goes down 8 cents, but that's 7.5%. Man, Ubisoft they can't catch a break. If there's just an announcement that could affect anyone in gaming, it's like, all right, go ahead, just take some more off of Ubisoft at this point. So what caused all of this? Well, Google made an announcement that people think right now just changes the entire landscape of game development. Okay, so this is, we can see over on good old Twitter X from Google DeepMind. They say, step inside Project Gemini, our experimental research prototype that lets you create, edit, and explore virtual worlds. They told us about this last year. It was August, I believe, August, September, a few months ago. And they kind of showed this off very briefly, and they were sort of showing what AI could do at some point when they open it up, maybe to the public. And technically they have. I say technically because the barrier of entry is still kind of high, which we'll look at soon. But this Project Genie thing, they had Genie 2. Genie 3, though, is, according to them, a pretty big step forward. So if we look, this is over on their page where, of course, they're working to sell the entire thing to you. And the idea here with Genie 3 is that you can feed it so many lines of text describing the world that you want to create or the game that you want to make or like the scene you want to set up, and then it will generate it for you, but it will generate it in a way that is interactive to where you can walk around, fly around, as I show a bird here, drive around, and just kind of explore what it's put in front of you like in real time. And again, it's interactive to a point, but it's interactive enough to make people kind of ponder the idea of, could this be game development in the not too distant future? And that's why you saw the hit that happened there in the stock market. Now, people have been going around and are already making examples like what they can do with Genie in a gaming sense. Like what kind of worlds can they build? And we'll get to that in a moment here. Now, I will say with Genie 3, all right, so it is actually like it's legitimately impressive what you can do just by typing in some text and what it spits out. Okay, so I will at least give Google credit here. This isn't something that I think should be overlooked in the sense of what it's accomplishing here. And they do talk about here world models use their deep understanding of physical environments to simulate them. Genie 3 represents a major leap in capabilities, allowing agents to predict how a world evolves and how their actions affect it. And they say this is a key stepping stone on the path to AGI, enabling AI agents capable of reasoning, problem solving, and real world actions. I will say, while this is really being shown right now for gaming, I do think what this would more so affect would be robotics, and they mention autonomous vehicles here. So they say Genie 3's realistic controllable realities could offer new ways for people to learn, allowing students to explore historical eras like ancient Rome. These simulated environments can also be used to train autonomous vehicles in realistic scenarios in a completely safe setting. So they say artificial general intelligence, part of that is going to be AI training AI. And if you consider the idea that AI could, if they need to problem solve or spend time training several instances of a certain kind of environment, it can do that using something like the concept here for Genie. All right. And when you have AI training AI and doing millions of instances, yeah, that's when you get to self improvement and the idea of super intelligence. So that goes well beyond what we're talking about here with gaming in mind, but it is something to think about, especially when this would become more applicable to robotics, where AI takes more of a physical form. And let's face it, one of the big push right now is to get to robotics, because you think about all of the physical labor that could then be replaced by robots, and you start to think about these companies and how their biggest expense is payroll, and I'm sure you could put two and two together there. Now there are limitations with Genie 3, and this is one of the reasons why I think the stock's dropping as sharply as they did, is pretty short-sighted, because there are certainly limited, like a lot of limitations. There's a limited range of actions agents can carry out. Text rendering seems to be a problem. Like, it would look really, really weird if you have text on a wall somewhere. You also have accurate representations of real world locations. That's not quite fully accurate. So I will say, though, Google does have access to a lot, like they've Google Maps and stuff. Clearly, they have a lot of data on real world locations, but it's not one to one to where it would be perfect if, say, this was integrated with VR and you would be able to visit a certain place. Might not look exactly the same. The model can support a few minutes of continuous interaction rather than extended hours. So I think right now people are able to do less than a minute. It's also sitting at 720p, and it runs 20 to 24 frames per second. Now, when you do go through it and you've interacted, at the end, it does give you at least an option to download what you saw at 60 frames per second. So when you see people posting stuff on social media, which we're going to look at here in a second, just keep in mind that's not what they really experienced, because not only all those limitations from frame rate and resolution, there's also like a full second of input latency. So think about the worst cloud experience you've had on, I don't know, Xbox Cloud Streaming or GeForce Now or whatever, and then multiply that by 3 or 4. So it's very noticeable, yes, when you would use it. So all that in mind, it's not exactly generating something that is, I would say, playable at all. Still, it is an interesting thing that people can play around with, provided they're willing to spend some money. And this is the other limitation, I think, the barrier of entry for just everyday people who want to try this out on the more hobbyist side. It's $250 a month. They do allow you to get a discount for the first 3 months at $125, but you need the Google AI Ultra plan. It won't work with Pro or Plus. That could change in the future, but I think one of the reasons that it is currently set at the $250 per month tier is because compute is very limited. And think about all the stories here about how much power these AI data centers are using, and how they're still calling for more and more data centers and more compute and more chips and just more resources. Well, compute's limited. So there you go. You got to pony up. The thing with this is people are realizing a few things with this. Some of these games or these AI generations that people are posting look kind of familiar. Almost like, I don't know, these models have been trained on millions of hours of YouTube content that's online, or just in general assets that are online from major properties and companies. So let's take a look at a couple examples. Here's one that is very reminiscent of Dark Souls, and I have noticed that a lot of the stuff got posted in the last day or so. The millions of views on these things, because people are going, wait a minute, this looks like it just got ripped straight out of a Let's Play or something. So yes, if you prompt it, hey, I wanna set up something that looks like Dark Souls, you indeed will end up with something that looks like it's straight out of Dark Souls. Now, it's terrible to control, and I mean, I don't even think the person's just bad at the game. I think because like the 1 second or so of input latency, they run off the bridge, it stops them, and I guess it respawns, and all of a sudden they have UI elements with it. Yeah, it's quite questionable about where some of this would be coming from then. There was one here that I thought was funny because I saw it when it first went up. Then I go back as I'm recording this video and it's gone. Like copyright strike on this thing that disabled it. What it was an image of the main character from GTA 6, the Jason, and he was leaning up against I think a pole on his phone, and then it turned it into an interactive game, quote unquote. You're just walking around, really. But it made that image interactive and it looked like the kind of assets you would expect to be in GTA 6. So I saw this. I said, would Take Two have actually gone out there and struck this thing down already? Well, it turns out it might just be somebody who is like just copyright trolling. It's kind of a waste of time. I wouldn't fight these big companies' battles for them. Let them deal with it and just kind of observe and take notes as to what's happening. But here it does bring up the question: what exactly is allowed with AI when it comes down to using a lot of assets that are recreated from existing assets? So always the thing about art. It's like, how close can you get to having an interpretation of an art style, or just that again, that image or that likeness, that asset, before it becomes a problem, before it becomes infringement? Because when I see one like this, this is apparently a prompt was the idea of make a game like Zelda Breath of the Wild with Breath of the Wild Link, and I want to be able to glide and do all this stuff. And you end up with Genie 3 making a Zelda game where you used to have infinite stamina, by the way. The bar doesn't go down at all. But you kind of get what I'm saying. It's like, hold on a minute. That just looks like Breath of the Wild. So does Nintendo show up to this, or how does that work if AI made it after you told it to make it and it reconstructed this from all the data that it's trained on? Since you would assume that Nintendo, I mean, owns the likeness that's in that data. How does all this work? And that's the biggest problem I think right now that everyone has. No one knows what the rules are, and AI is, I mean, it is accelerating in its development. And I don't think it's in anywhere near a position where it's all of a sudden, oh, we're going to use Genie 3 to make our games. No, it's not near that, but it's progressing almost in that direction. Now, I think this would make more sense once again as a tool, and that's still how I'm looking at AI, in the sense that let's say you want to make a pitch at a studio and you have the option of spending a couple of weeks designing and setting up a very, very basic vertical slice, or you can use Genie 3 to refine and figure out your pitch and visualize it more so than drawing it on a whiteboard or storyboarding it. You could sit down with one of the executives, managers, whoever you're pitching to, and be like, hey, you can walk around in this world in yeah, one that's late, like has latency and stuff, but you can get a better idea and sense as to what I'm getting at here, as opposed to spending quite a while designing it for them to maybe even shoot it down. Seems like Genie 3 could be done in an afternoon, at least to get to a position where you can present it. Not the final product once again, but just a way to show it off more as an interactive video. But as for the stock market reaction, I do think it's short-sighted. It's not something that's necessarily going to be feasible for anyone to use to create a game right now out of, and they'd be looking far into the future. But like, what do you think is going to happen when GTA 6 comes out later this year for Take Two? Yeah, it's probably going to do very, very well, and the stock market will most likely rebound on Take Two. So I think this is more knee jerk reaction. Unity, though, is a company that I'm less sure of when it comes to something like this affecting it, because game engines in general, it's hard to say what the future could hold with AI in the mix. It could go either way. We're still trying to figure out what happens with AI outright, and then you have it potentially spitting out different worlds and environments in a few minutes from people just typing into a box. But let me know what you guys think about this one down below. The stock market reaction. Do you think it's overblown? Or do you think this is legitimately the future, to where game studios of a few people will type in what they want the game to be, and then Google Genie 10 or something will spit out an entire playable game ready to ship in an afternoon? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.